Have you ever looked back at a childhood memory? Something so vivid you can almost smell the air or feel the sun on your face, and then wondered just for a second how you actually know it happened exactly that way. It is a quiet, intriguing thought that many of us have at some point, and if you have ever felt a little uncertain about the fine details of your past, I want to start by saying that is completely normal and actually a very shared human experience. Welcome, and thank you for joining me today as we explore this curious idea together. We often think of our memories as a dusty library or a digital hard drive where every event is filed away perfectly, just waiting for us to press play. But it is widely understood that memory might be a bit more like a storyteller than a recording. It is less like a camera and more like a painter who revisits the same canvas over and over, adding a little color here and softening an edge there, until the image feels just right. This is the part many people don't realize, that our memories are living, breathing things that grow and change alongside us, and that doesn't mean they are less valuable or that something is wrong. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's a sign of how creative and adaptive our minds really are. Imagine, for a moment, a memory of a summer afternoon from when you were 5 or 6 years old. You might remember the specific shade of a kite in the sky or the exact taste of a cold drink. But have you ever stopped to notice where your perspective is in that memory? Many people discover, when they really lean into the mental image, that they are actually seeing themselves in the scene, as if they are watching a movie of their younger self from a few feet away. But if you think about it, you didn't experience that moment from the outside. You were living it from behind your own eyes. This shift in perspective is such a common thing, and it's one of those gentle clues that our minds are filling in the gaps to help the story make sense. It's as if our imagination steps in to provide the wide-angle lens that our 5-year-old selves didn't have at the time. This isn't about being wrong. It's just about how we reconstruct our world to understand it better as we grow. Some people notice this most when they look at old family photographs. You might have a very clear memory of wearing a specific itchy sweater at a holiday party, but then you wonder, do I remember the feeling of the sweater? Or do I just remember the photo on the mantelpiece that I've looked at every year since? It's widely understood that photographs and home videos can actually act as a sort of memory anchor. We see the image so often that our minds wrap a story around it, building out the sounds and the smells until the photo becomes the memory itself. It is a beautiful way that our families and our history stay with us, but it does mean that sometimes the line between what we experienced and what we've seen in a frame can get a little blurry. And then there are the stories we've been told. We all have those classic family tales that get repeated at every dinner and every holiday. The time you got lost in the grocery store, or the funny thing you said to your kindergarten teacher. When a story is told with enough warmth and enough detail, people often find that they start to remember the event as if they were there, even if they were actually too young to hold onto it at the time. It's like a gift given to us by the people who love us. They hand us back a piece of our childhood, and our minds naturally weave it into the fabric of who we think we are. Here's where memory quietly changes in a way that is truly fascinating, through the power of repetition. Every time we tell a story or think back on a moment, we aren't actually pulling the original file from the shelf. Instead, many researchers suggest that we are remembering the last time we remembered it. It's like a game of telephone that we play with ourselves over decades. Each time the story is told, the most important parts, the emotions, the laughter, the lessons, get polished and brightened, while the unimportant details, like what color the carpet was or what time of day it was, might start to fade or shift to fit the narrative. This doesn't mean the memory is a lie. It just means it has been refined into its most meaningful version. We are, in a sense, the editors of our own lives, constantly making sure the story of us feels consistent and real. You might also notice how much our current emotions can color the way we see the past. If you are feeling particularly happy and nostalgic today, a memory of a childhood playground might feel golden and warm. But if you were feeling a bit lonely, that same memory might feel a little more quiet or isolated. It can feel like our memories are mirrors reflecting how we feel in the present moment. This is why two siblings can have completely different versions of the same childhood event. One might remember the excitement of a move to a new house, while the other remembers the sadness of leaving their old room behind. Neither of them is lying. They are both just holding onto the emotional truth that mattered most to them. It's a reminder that memory isn't about objective facts. It's about the meaning we find in our experiences. Some people find it a little bit unsettling at first to think that their memories might not be perfect, but there is actually something very reassuring about it. If our memories were static and unchangeable, we would be stuck with every tiny, literal detail of every day, which would be incredibly overwhelming. Instead, our minds are kind enough to filter things out, keeping the heart of the experience while letting the rest soften. It allows us to carry the essence of our childhood without being weighed down by the sheer volume of every second that passed. This is why you might vividly remember the feeling of your grandmother's kitchen, but if you were asked to draw the floor plan, you might realize you have no idea where the pantry was. The truth of that memory isn't in the architecture. It's in the warmth of the stove and the sound of her voice. As we move through life, we also fill in gaps with what we know now. We use our adult logic to make sense of things that were confusing to us as children. Many people discover that their memories of scary events from childhood become much smaller and more manageable once they realize, as an adult, that the giant dog was probably just a friendly golden retriever, or the endless walk to school was only 2 blocks. Our minds update the files to help us feel more secure in the world. It's a process of growth, a way of looking back and saying, I understand now. This is another one of those moments where memory quietly changes to serve who we are becoming. It's also interesting to consider how much our imagination plays a role in our sense of the past. When we are children, the line between what is real and what is imagined is much thinner. We spend so much time in pretend worlds, and sometimes those imaginative play sessions are so intense and meaningful that they leave a lasting impression, just like a real event would. You might remember seeing a forest full of magic, and while your adult brain knows it was just the backyard, that feeling of wonder remains perfectly real. In that sense, those fake memories are actually some of the most honest reflections of what it was like to be a child. They capture the magic and the scale of a world that we can't quite access the same way anymore. This is the part that many people find the most grounding, realizing that even if the details of a memory have shifted, the identity we built from them is still very much real. We are the sum of the stories we tell ourselves. If you remember yourself as a brave kid because of a story about a tree you climbed, even if that tree was actually a small bush, that bravery is still a part of who you are today. The memory served its purpose. It gave you a piece of your identity to hold on to. We don't need our memories to be 100% accurate for them to be 100% true in terms of how they shaped us. It's a gentle realization that we are allowed to trust our feelings even when the facts are a little fuzzy. Throughout this reflection, we've looked at how photos, stories, perspective, and emotion all work together to create the tapestry of our past. It's a complex, beautiful, and deeply human process. It's not about things being fake in the sense of being a deception. It's about them being handcrafted by our own minds over a lifetime. It is a way of keeping our history close to our hearts in a way that makes sense for who we are right now. So, the next time you find yourself questioning a childhood memory, or when you and a family member realize you remember the same event in 2 totally different ways, maybe you can just smile and appreciate the mystery of it. It's a sign that your mind is doing exactly what it was designed to do, telling the story of your life in a way that keeps you moving forward, fueled by the emotions and the lessons that matter most. Even if the sun wasn't quite that bright, or the cake wasn't quite that big, the joy you feel when you think about it is real, and that is what stays with us in the end. Our memories are not just records of where we've been. They are the stories we carry to remind us of who we are, and there is a profound beauty in that imperfection. It makes our personal history feel less like a cold archive and more like a warm, lived-in home, full of character and personal touches. Reframing these fake memories as evolving stories allows us to hold our past a little more lightly and with a lot more curiosity. We don't have to prove our memories are real to know that they are ours and that they are precious. If this reflection resonated with you, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for being here.